Have you ever felt the chilling aftermath of escaping a narcissistic relationship, only to find yourself targeted by a final, desperate act of manipulation? That unsettling feeling, that sense of being hunted even after you've broken free, is a potent testament to the narcissist's fear of your newfound strength. Carl Jung, the visionary psychologist who delved into the darkest corners of the human psyche, offers invaluable insight into this phenomenon. He understood the narcissist's desperate attempts to regain control not as random acts of cruelty, but as a profound reflection of their own inner turmoil and the imminent collapse of their carefully constructed persona. This exploration, through the lens of Jungian psychology, will unveil the narcissist's final dirty trick and empower you to navigate this treacherous terrain with clarity and strength. Prepare to understand the psychology behind their actions and reclaim your journey of self-discovery. Carl Jung recognized that narcissists, creatures of inflated egos and profound inner emptiness, thrive on control. Their sense of self is inextricably linked to their ability to dominate and manipulate others. They feed off the energy of those they ensnare, using them as narcissistic supply to maintain a fragile illusion of superiority. This illusion masks a deep-seated fear, the fear of their own inadequacy and the terrifying prospect of confronting their inner void. When a victim begins to heal and establish healthy boundaries, a power inversion crisis erupts within the narcissist. This is not simply a reaction to rejection. It's a seismic shift threatening the very foundation of their identity. The narcissist's carefully constructed persona, their carefully curated mask of perfection, begins to crumble. The narcissist's fear is not of losing control, but of facing the profound emptiness that lies beneath. Imagine their meticulously crafted persona as a carefully built fortress, shielding them from the terrifying abyss of their own unexplored shadow self. This fortress, however, is built on shaky ground, a foundation of lies, manipulation, and the exploitation of others. When a victim begins to heal and establish boundaries, they effectively chip away at this fortress, revealing the fragility of the structure. The narcissist, sensing the impending collapse, resorts to increasingly desperate measures to regain control. This is where the final dirty trick comes into play, a last-ditch effort to reclaim their power and maintain their illusion of superiority. Jung would interpret this desperate behavior through the lens of the ego's struggle for survival. The narcissist's ego, inflated and brittle, is confronted with the stark reality of its own limitations. The victim's strength becomes a mirror, reflecting the narcissist's own undeveloped potential, triggering a profound sense of inadequacy and fear. This fear manifests as a series of calculated attacks, designed to undermine the victim's newfound strength and reclaim the lost control. We'll explore these attacks, understanding them not as random acts of malice, but as desperate attempts by a fractured ego to maintain its precarious existence. The narcissist's actions, viewed through Jung's analytical psychology, become less about personal attacks and more about the desperate struggle of an underdeveloped psyche grappling with its own disintegration. These are the psychological mechanisms at play, the shadow self pushing for expression, and the ego attempting to suppress it with all its might. The coming sections will delve into the specific tactics the narcissist uses, revealing their underlying psychological motivations and offering you the tools to effectively navigate this challenging phase. The journey ahead will unveil the power dynamics at play, the narcissist's motivations, and ultimately, your path toward liberation and true self-discovery. The final dirty trick, then, isn't a single, easily defined act. It's a multifaceted strategy, a desperate gambit employing a range of tactics tailored to the specific vulnerabilities of the victim. It might manifest as a smear campaign, whispering insidious lies to mutual friends and acquaintances, painting the victim as unstable, unreliable, or even dangerous. The goal isn't simply to damage the victim's reputation. It's to re-establish the narcissist's control by isolating the victim and undermining their support network. Imagine the carefully crafted narrative. The victim, suddenly, becomes the aggressor, the unstable one, while the narcissist maintains the guise of an innocent victim. Another common tactic is the Hoover, a calculated attempt to reel the victim back in, often employing false apologies, manufactured displays of remorse, or promises of change. This isn't genuine contrition. It's a manipulative maneuver designed to exploit the victim's empathy and compassion. The narcissist leverages the lingering emotional connection, playing on the victim's hope for reconciliation and a return to the idealized version of the relationship. This hoover can be incredibly effective, especially when the victim is still grappling with the emotional aftermath of the abuse. The sudden shift from cruelty to apparent tenderness can be disorienting and deeply confusing. Sometimes, the final dirty trick takes the form of a sudden and dramatic escalation of abuse. This might involve threats, intimidation, or even physical violence. This desperate act is a last resort, a final attempt to exert control when all other tactics have failed. The narcissist, sensing the imminent loss of power, lashes out in a final, frenzied attempt to maintain their dominance. This escalation is often fueled by a profound sense of panic and a desperate clinging to the illusion of control. It's a terrifying display of the narcissist's fragility and the extent to which they will go to avoid confronting their own inner turmoil. Consider the case of Sarah, who, after escaping an emotionally abusive relationship, started to thrive. She found new friends, pursued her passions, and rediscovered her self-worth. The narcissist, her ex-partner, responded with a vicious smear campaign, portraying Sarah as a manipulative liar to her workplace, causing her immense professional distress. This wasn't about a specific event. It was about reclaiming control over Sarah's life by undermining her newly found stability and happiness. Or take the example of Mark, who, after years of silent treatment and gaslighting, finally left his narcissistic wife. She responded with a hoover, showering him with gifts, expressing profuse regret and promising to change. Mark, still deeply affected by the emotional trauma, almost fell for it, nearly succumbing to the allure of the idealized past. This was a calculated attempt to regain control and re-establish the power dynamic, exploiting Mark's lingering hope for a better future. These examples highlight the insidious nature of the final dirty trick and its capacity to inflict significant emotional damage. Understanding the psychological underpinnings of these actions is crucial for navigating this challenging phase and protecting oneself from further manipulation. The narcissist's actions are not random. They are strategic, calculated attempts to regain control and maintain their fragile sense of self. The insidious nature of the narcissist's final dirty trick often lies in its unpredictability. There's no set playbook. The tactic employed depends entirely on the individual narcissist, their history with the victim, and the specific circumstances of the breakup. What works for one victim might fail spectacularly with another, highlighting the narcissist's inherent lack of empathy and understanding of genuine human connection. This unpredictability itself is a form of control, keeping the victim perpetually on edge, uncertain of what to expect, and unable to truly move on. Consider the case of Emily, a successful lawyer who left her narcissistic husband after years of emotional manipulation. His final dirty trick wasn't a smear campaign or a hoover, but a calculated attempt to destroy her financially. He initiated frivolous lawsuits, draining her resources and forcing her to spend valuable time and energy on legal battles. This wasn't about winning the lawsuits themselves. It was about inflicting financial hardship, undermining her professional success, and regaining a sense of control by crippling her independence. The sheer brutality and calculated nature of this act reveals the narcissist's willingness to use any means necessary to maintain power, even at the expense of their own well-being. The long-term effects on Emily's mental health and financial security are profound, demonstrating the devastating consequences of this manipulative tactic. Another common tactic is the use of triangulation. After the discard, the narcissist might begin actively courting a new partner, flaunting their relationship in the victim's face. This isn't simply about finding a new source of narcissistic supply. It's about inflicting a further blow to the victim's self-esteem and sense of worth. The new relationship is a weapon, used to demonstrate the narcissist's perceived superiority and the victim's perceived inadequacy. This public display of affection, often shared on social media, is intended to trigger feelings of jealousy, insecurity, and regret in the victim, further entangling them in the narcissist's web of manipulation. The narcissist uses this tactic to reaffirm their power and control, reminding the victim of their perceived loss and the perceived superiority of the new partner. The psychological impact of these final dirty tricks is profound and long-lasting. Victims often experience a range of emotions, including shock, betrayal, confusion, anger, grief, and self-doubt. The manipulative tactics employed by the narcissist can severely damage the victim's self-esteem, leading to feelings of worthlessness and inadequacy. The emotional toll can be significant, often requiring professional help to overcome the trauma and rebuild a sense of self. Understanding the motivations behind these actions, recognizing the patterns of manipulation, and seeking support from therapists and support groups are crucial steps in healing and moving forward. The journey to recovery is not easy, but it is essential for reclaiming one's life and building a healthy future, free from the manipulative control of a narcissist. The goal isn't just to escape the relationship. It's to reclaim one's self-worth and rebuild a life based on genuine connection and healthy boundaries. This cycle of abuse often leaves victims questioning their own sanity and perception of reality. The narcissist's gaslighting, a subtle yet insidious form of manipulation, contributes significantly to this confusion. They might deny events that happened, twist facts to suit their narrative, or even convince the victim that they are the one at fault. For example, Emily might remember a specific argument where she felt emotionally abused, only to have the narcissist vehemently deny it ever occurred, claiming she's imagining things or exaggerating. This constant undermining of her reality erodes her confidence and makes her doubt her own memory and judgment. Over time, she may start to question her own sanity, believing the narcissist's version of events rather than her own lived experience. This is a classic tactic used to maintain control and isolate the victim from friends and family who might offer support or a different perspective. The smear campaign is another devastating weapon in the narcissist's arsenal. After the discard, the narcissist will often begin spreading lies and misinformation about the victim to mutual friends, family members, and even colleagues. These lies are designed to damage the victim's reputation, isolate them socially, and further undermine their self-esteem. The narcissist might portray the victim as unstable, unreliable, or even crazy, painting themselves as the victim in the situation. This calculated character assassination can have far-reaching consequences, affecting the victim's personal relationships, professional opportunities, and overall sense of well-being. Emily, for instance, might find herself suddenly ostracized by friends who now believe the narcissist's fabricated stories. Her professional reputation might also suffer, making it difficult to find new employment or maintain existing professional relationships. The financial abuse often extends beyond the initial discarding phase. The narcissist might continue to exert control over the victim's finances, even after the relationship has ended. This could involve withholding money, manipulating joint accounts, or even initiating legal battles related to finances. The constant stress and uncertainty surrounding finances add another layer of trauma to the victim's experience. The emotional and psychological toll of this financial manipulation is substantial, leaving the victim feeling vulnerable, helpless, and dependent. Emily's experience highlights this, as the legal battles initiated by the narcissist not only drain her resources, but also cause immense emotional distress and uncertainty about her financial future. This ongoing financial abuse serves to maintain a sense of control and power long after the relationship has officially ended, demonstrating the narcissist's enduring desire to dominate and control. The insidious nature of this control is deeply damaging, leaving lasting scars on the victim's sense of security and self-reliance. Rebuilding financial stability and independence often requires significant time, effort, and professional guidance, highlighting the long-term impact of this manipulative behavior. The aftermath of narcissistic abuse extends far beyond the initial breakup. The psychological impact is profound and insidious, often manifesting as complex PTSD. Emily, for example, might experience flashbacks of emotionally charged moments, nightmares reflecting the manipulative tactics employed against her, and intense anxiety in situations reminiscent of the abusive relationship. Simple daily tasks might become overwhelming, triggering feelings of helplessness and inadequacy that were carefully cultivated by the narcissist. This constant state of hypervigilance, a common symptom of PTSD, leaves her perpetually on edge, anticipating potential threats and betrayals, even in safe environments. Her self-esteem, systematically eroded during the relationship, remains fragile, making it difficult to trust her own judgment or believe in her own capabilities. She might find herself constantly second-guessing her decisions, seeking external validation, and struggling to assert her own needs and boundaries. The social isolation, a deliberate tactic used by the narcissist, further compounds the psychological trauma. Emily might struggle to rebuild trust with friends and family, particularly those who sided with the narcissist or who were unable to fully comprehend the extent of the abuse. The fear of judgment or disbelief can be paralyzing, preventing her from seeking the support she desperately needs. She may withdraw from social interactions, fearing further betrayal or rejection, further reinforcing her feelings of loneliness and isolation. Rebuilding her social network requires significant effort and courage, involving a gradual process of reconnecting with trusted individuals and carefully navigating new relationships. The legal battles, as mentioned earlier, add another layer of complexity and stress. The narcissist's attempts to control Emily's finances often extend into protracted legal disputes, demanding significant time, energy, and financial resources. This constant uncertainty about her financial future only exacerbates her psychological distress, perpetuating a cycle of anxiety and fear. The legal system, while intended to provide justice, can feel overwhelming and frustrating, especially for victims of narcissistic abuse who are often left feeling powerless and unheard. Navigating the complexities of the legal system requires professional support, often in the form of legal representation and therapeutic guidance. The financial strain, coupled with the emotional toll of the legal battles, serves as a constant reminder of the narcissist's enduring control and influence. This prolonged period of legal turmoil can significantly impact Emily's ability to heal and move forward, highlighting the long-lasting ramifications of narcissistic abuse. Emily's journey to healing will be long and arduous, requiring sustained professional support, unwavering self-compassion, and the unwavering commitment to rebuild her life on a foundation of self-respect and healthy boundaries. While the scars of narcissistic abuse may never fully disappear, with consistent effort and the right support system, Emily can reclaim her autonomy, find peace, and ultimately thrive beyond the shadow of her abuser.